Things are really not looking good here. I take out the Walrein, but they still have a shield and a full health Cavalion. I'm almost dead. I go for a Zap Cannon. My only hope is that they don't shield it, but I bet they do. Oh my goodness! Did they shield that or not? You're going to have to watch this battle to find out. Welcome back everyone, Kurt Singh here with another Open Ultra League battle. I'm using a spicy triple shadow team today. Dragonite, Ampharos, and Swampert. So we'll get right into the battles here. And here I've got Swampert against Walrein. I'm going for an Earthquake. They shield that up. And they're going to fire off what I believe is an Icicle Sphere. I let that go. And I bring in my Ampharos. This thing's doing super effective damage. They're not going to be able to damage me unless they go for the Earthquake. But I let that go and it's just an Icicle Sphere. They swap out and I go for a Brutal Swing and it does a decent chunk on their Gliscor. Bring in my Dragonite. I'm going to shield this move up. Just a Night Slash, but I want to save some health. And now I'm able to threaten the Walrein. But they get to a move. I have no shields. So down goes my Dragonite. This is looking very bad for me. I go for a Brutal Swing here, take out the Walrein, and in the back they've got a full health Cavalion. My only hope is that they don't shield this, but why would they not? And they don't shield it. So I pull off a win, they keep a shield. GG's to my opponent. Thank you very much for the elo. Into the next battle, Dragonite into Snorlax. And this is a decent matchup for me. They can go for body slams, but I can go for super effective superpowers. As you can see though, the licks and the body slam really add up with me being Shadow and them being Shadow as well. So I go for Dragon Claw here and they shield that up. So I get both shields nice and early. Let my Dragonite go. Bring in Swampert. Let's see what I do here. Okay, I shield this up. Save some health on my Swampert. I went to throw there, but they caught me. So I eat a body slam. Does a massive chunk. Again, shadows are kind of squishy, but they deal a massive amount of damage, which I really enjoy. So they bring in Poliwrath. I'm going to go for the Earthquake here. Try to do as much as I can. That does about 3/4 health. And they have an Ampharos in the back as well. That was way too fast for anything other than a Thunder Punch or a Brutal Swing. It's a Brutal Swing, so I let that go. I'm going to go for my own Zap Cannon here. Keep in mind they have no shields. So that does a huge chunk. Now I'm going to shield this up, save some health, and try to farm down. And I just managed to. I'm almost dead though. Go for a Brutal Swing here. And that doesn't quite take out their Poliwrath, hanging on by a sliver of health. Throws the Scald, and am I able to Mudshot down? I am, and I take the victory. Good game to my opponent there again. On to the next battle. Dragonite into Pidgeot. Got some weak connection. Just going to town on the fast moves there. Got a Dragon Claw, they shield that up. This, is most of the time a Feather Dance. I shield it up. Unfortunately, they bring in Walrein. I go for a superpower. They let that go. That does about half health with the Feather Dance debuff. So, good to know there. Then I bring in my Ampharos, make a huge mistake, eat an Earthquake. Into the dust I go. And for some reason, I decided to bring in my Dragonite just to let them get some extra farm on it. So here they throw an Icicle Sphere. I'm farming away and I get that down. But they have a shield and 2 Pokemon. And I only have a Hope and Dream and 1 shield. Now, I get the Pidgeot, so that's amazing. But they've got their own Swampert in the back. So things are looking really rough here. I shield up. And I go for a Hydro Cannon. I'm hoping to get their shield. And they do shield. And I go for the Earthquake, but they reach another Hydro Cannon first. So they're going to take me out. That's definitely a good game to my opponent. I feel like I could have played that a little bit better. But can't win them all, right? So Walrein into Dragonite. I swap into my Swampert. And they bring in a Florges, I think it's called. And they eat my Earthquake. I have used that Pokemon in Ultra League actually a little bit, And it's funny how many people think that it's grass type. It's hilarious. So I'm going to fire off a Hydro Cannon here against the Walrein. They shield that up thinking it's an Earthquake. I do manage to get to an Earthquake here, and they eat that. Does a huge chunk of damage. Now my Swampert's going to go. I want to save that last shield. I bring in my Ampharos, and they swap out into a Toxicroak. You don't see too many of them in the Ultra League nowadays. Bring my Dragonite, farm up to a Dragonclaw, throw the Dragonclaw. They're going to shield an almost dead Toxicroak. So what do they have? I have no shields. Sludge Bomb takes me out, come back in, farm down, and I Zap Cannon their Walrein that is almost dead. Just because. Just wanted to make sure that I get the KO. Good game to my opponent there. On to the next match. Dragonite into Obstagoon. So Obstagoon's going to get to a Night Slash here. It's going to do about half my health with the counter damage added up. I'm going to go for a superpower. If they let this go, it's super effective. They decide to let it go, so I take out the Obstagoon and I swap into my Swampert, and they've got their Charizard. They shield up my first Hydro Cannon. I have a really hard time reading the baits here. And I'm talking just in general. All my battles. I have switched up teams again, and I switch into my Umbreon, and I never shield the first one, and it's always a Blast Burn. And it's just, I feel like I need to start shielding that first one, and then I'm going to get Dragon Claw. So Charizard is very difficult to read for to know for certain whether they're baiting you or throwing the big move. So I shield up a Hydro Cannon there, and I managed to farm down the Swampert, but they bring back in the Charizard. I have no shields. Dragon Claw me. I'm out, but I'm in a pretty good spot here, I think, because I still have 2 Pokemon. They're down to the Charizard. Dragon Claw does big damage, and I am able to Dragon Breath down. So that's another good game to my opponent. Into the next match here. Dragonite into Muck, and I swap out into my Swampert. I'm going to let the first move go, figuring that it's an Acid Spray. Now, I feel like I misplayed this, because I should have eaten Acid Spray on my Dragonite, had they still done it. But I'm able to land an Earthquake on their Venusaur, which one-shots it, so that's good for me. They come back in with their Muck, and I shield up this move here, which is a Thunder Punch. So see, they wouldn't have gone for an Acid Spray had I stayed in. So, good move for me. And there I farm up to a Superpower, and then I swap out to take the move. And I'm going to farm up some energy here. They're going to throw an attack. I let it go. My goal is to try to get a shield, because they still have 2 shields, so I can't do anything with my Dragonite if they have shields, right? But I throw the Superpower, they shield that, of course, and then they have an attack. I shield this. Am I able to reach the next Superpower? I just get there. So that'll be another good game to my opponent. Thank you very much. On to the next battle. Dragonite into Obstagoon. They switch out right away into Cresselia. So I switch into my Ampharos. And Ampharos is really good with the Brutal Swings. I take the Grass Knot, and they're already at another move. I'm like, man, that thing's fast. Another Grass Knot, shield that up. I'm gonna go for the Brutal Swing here. I'm always torn. I think I said this in the last video. And here I go for the Zap Cannon, and they let that go, so it takes them out. I don't think a Brutal Swing would have quite taken them out, so probably the best choice there. They bring back in their Obstagoon, and I go for a Brutal Swing just to get some chip damage. And I wait my clock a little bit, bring Dragonite back in. I'm going to let this go. Should just be a Night Slash, and I get boomed. It's a Hyper Beam on an Obstagoon, a shiny Obstagoon. And then they throw another move on me. I go for the Hydro Cannon. things are looking rough here. They shield that up, and I got an Earthquake going. Takes out their Gengar, and they've got another move. So I've got a shield, so I'm going to shield that up. And can I reach the Hydro Cannon? I just reached another Hydro Cannon. Some of these battles were crazy close, as you guys can see. If you're still watching, I appreciate it. Leave a like or a comment. Subscribe to the channel. That was a 4-1 set, I believe. Into the next batch. Rayquaza into Dragonite. The Dragon Tails are chunking my Shadow Dragonite. And I'm not sure if they won CMP or if I was just a little bit slow clicking. But I choose to let it go. Bring in my Ampharos and farm down. They answer with Swampert. I fire off Zap Cannon. They shield it up, and I right away switch into my own Swampert. I eat the Hydro Cannon, saving my shields. I'm gonna shield this one up here. It'll take me out if I let it go. They switch into a Charizard, which I thought was crazy that they would switch into my loaded Swampert with a Charizard, and then they didn't shield the Hydro Cannon, so one shot that, and then they let that one go as well. I was like, what is this trainer doing? And then they let that one go too, so they must have just known that I had them. So good game to my opponent there. Registeel into Dragonite. This is kind of a tricky one. I can reach one superpower, but I'm not going to be able to reach another move before they get to their move. So I swap out into my Swampert, and similar to the last match, I kind of think I should have waited with the Dragonite, shielded the Dragonite, and then swapped so that I didn't debuff the current Pokemon that I'm in. But anyways, throw the Earthquake, they let that go, does a good chunk. Get to a Hydro Cannon, they let that go as well. They are able to farm me down. They're almost dead. I come in, throw one Volt Switch, and I'm gonna let this move go, and then they'll be dead. And then they have an Escavalier in the back, trying to farm up to the Zap Cannon, but I feel like they're gonna get to a Drill Run before I do, or they're gonna take me out. And they make a very nice catch. But the nice thing with Registeel is it does almost no damage, so I'm able to reach the Zap Cannon, take them out. They come back in though and farm me down. So here I believe I let this go, thinking, well, they're not going to hurt me much. They Mega Horn me, which does massive damage. And then they have another Drill Run, so I shield that up. And they still have a shield. So I'm trying to farm as much as I can. They shield that, and I can't quite get to another Dragon Claw, so down I go. Good game to my opponent there. Togekiss into Dragonite, a horrible matchup for me. So I swap right away into my Swampert, and they answer with the Obstagoon. So things are definitely not looking good for me. You might be asking why I didn't swap into my Ampharos. If I swap my Ampharos into the Togekiss, it's my best answer. So I wanted to save it to try to align it later in the game. So their Obstagoon takes me out. So I come back in with Dragonite, and my goal here is just to farm down. I want to shield this Night Slash, farm down, get as much energy as I can. Figure they're going to bring in their Togekiss again, and I decide to make the switch. And sure enough, they've got Charizard in the back. I decide to call that Blast Burn there, and it was just Dragon Claw bait. So good call on my part. I go for a Brutal Swing, takes out the Charizard. Back comes the Togekiss, chunking away with the Charm. I get to a Zap Cannon, throw that. They shield it up. Things are looking bad here. Bring in Dragonite, go for a Dragon Claw, which is definitely not effective. It's like double or triple resisted. Get to a superpower. Hail Mary here. I'm going to throw the superpower, and it takes out the Togekiss. Good game. Thank you very much, opponent. On to the next match. Dragonite into Trevenant. They switch right away into a Skuntank. Another Pokemon that I don't really see very much. I switch in my Swampert, take the Crunch. I'm almost at about a Hydro Cannon and a half. Fire off one. They shield that up. They're at another move. I decide to shield this up. I want to farm up a little bit, get to another Hydro Cannon. This will take them out if they don't shield, and they let the Skunk Tank go. They bring back in the Trevenant. I throw another Hydro Cannon, does a nice chunk damage. Now I bring in the Ampharos here because Brutal Swing is going to take them out if they let it go. Unfortunately, I shield a Seed Bomb bait, and then they go for another Seed Bomb. Yes, I was super happy about that. I was thinking the game was over there. So they shield up. I swap to catch the move here. It's an Aqua Tail, not very effective. Farm up a bunch more. Go for a Dragon Claw. I'm not really sure how much this will do. It does a decent chunk. I was impressed. So now they're in the red. They can't quite take me out. I'm able to farm down. Gonna go for another Dragon Claw, but they take me out. But I have a Brutal Swing loaded, and that's a good game. Another good game to my opponent. Got another battle or two, I think. Dragonite into Galvantula. Not a good lead for me. Switch into my Swampert. Still not the greatest lead with Lunge. Does about half health. I do reach a Hydro Cannon here. And they swapped into a Tapu Fini to catch that, so that's a good catch on their part. I do make it to an Earthquake. Throw that, and of course the shield. Because why would they let it go, right? Get to another Hydro Cannon, just looking for some chip. They let it go, get them into the yellow at least. So Ampharos comes in, and I let the first move go to Surf. Does a decent chunk. I'm farming up here. I'm going to shield this one. I think one more Volt Switch will take them out. Takes them out. So now we're even shields, both down in Pokemon. I get to a Zap Cannon, and this will do a really nice chunk on their Obstagoon that they let go. So then I switch right away into my Dragonite to try to farm down. Called Obstruct. They bring in the Galvantula, so I shield up and go for a Dragon Claw here. So now I'm defense debuffed and attack debuffed, and I get to another Dragon Claw. They're out of shields, I'm out of shields, and I take out their Galvantula and then farm down the Obstagoon. So good battle there to my opponent. Final match, I believe. Dragonite into Swampert. They switch into Salamence. I stay in. I manage to get to the Dragon Claw. They shield that up. Man, those Dragon Tails just chunk, hey? Bring in my Ampharos. Can't quite take them out. Shield up Outrage. Very well done. What's their next Pokemon here? Waiting. Swampert. Of course it's Swampert. Shield this up. It's Hydro Cannon. Throw the Zap Cannon. And let's see what they do. They let that go. Bring in my own Swampert, and they have a Pidgeot in the back. I'm at almost back to back. I want to fire before they Feather Dance me and debuff me, so I get about half health. One more Mud Shot, throw the Hydro Cannon, and take out the Pidgeot. I'm not sure why they didn't shield, but now they've got their Swampert. I have no shields. They don't quite take me out, and I'm at another Hydro Cannon, and that'll be another good game. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, I really appreciate you. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe. See you guys in the next video, and thanks again for watching. Hope you enjoy the content. Thank you again.